Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the spooky, scary vampires going to be taking on the Skaven, and I have indeed brought the dreaded GHORST Master. Yes indeed, Helman Gorst, not on his cart, just on foot this time. He's got a necromancer accompanying him to summon zombies, since he can't. He's got Raise Dead, Dance Macabre, and the Grave Guard summon as well, Awaken from the Grave. For the rest of the army, we've got some zombies up front, Skeleton Warriors and Skeleton Spears, 2 units of Blood Knights with the Varix Reavers, Corpse Cart with an Unholy Lodestone, and since we're up against the Skaven, we've got two Black Coaches. Yes, indeed, double Black Coach. We've also got in here the Hounds of the Dire Pack. And yeah, that's it for my build for the Skaven. He's got a front line of Plague Monks and Plague Monk Censer Bears, so very strong infantry core for the Skaven. A couple Skaven Slaves, Storm Vermin with Halberds protecting 2 Warp Lightning Cannons, Lord Skrolk, and some more Slave Spears out in the middle of nowhere. So without further ado, let's get the battle underway. Oh, there are some Gutter Runners here as well, it looks like. Going to be doing some early skirmishing, and yeah, I elected to bring GHORST not on the cart because it makes him a much smaller target, and he's also significantly faster on foot as well. So yeah, it does give him less HP, and obviously he doesn't have as many utility abilities, but the fact that he won't get blasted by Warp Lightning Cannons, definitely a plus. Speaking of Warp Lightning Cannons, they're going to be blasting the Corpse Cart that is on the field here, or at least attempting to. Solid hit there. Thankfully the Corpse Cart, of course, will regenerate that damage, but yeah, taking some solid hits as we're approaching, but remember the concept of bring the whole house, so we're going to be advancing everything all at the same time here. Blood Knights hidden in the woods now, unable to be shot, and the rest of the large targets, you can see Black Coaches and everything all coming forward at the same time, more or less, so that we can you know, take advantage of the fact that my opponent has limited numbers of artillery. Those shots are getting through the woods, it looks like, but only hitting Skeleton Warriors, which is perfectly fine with me. Meanwhile, this one's trying to blast the Black Coach, which is obviously a very good target. These things are very dangerous, and sorry again about the lighting, folks. This map is one of the worst for lighting, but thankfully, most of the engagement is going to be taking place in this well-lit area over here. You can see the Black Coach. Some summoned Clan Rats going to be breaking the charge of the Varix Reavers, who then get blasted. Obviously, they'll do a ton of damage on the charge there, and then the Black Coach is just going to start cutting through the front line. You can see it charges straight through Clan Rats, or sorry, the Plague Monks, obviously a very light unit, and a little bit of friendly fire there from the Skaven, but yeah, both the Black Coaches, you can see cutting through the front lines here, doing some solid damage, and the Black Coach is definitely a very good tool against the Skaven. Not only is it a chariot, so it can stay on the move, do good impact damage, but of course it also has fear and terror, so it can drop a quick terror bomb on the appropriate target if need be. You can see Skrolk rushing in, he's got the Rod of Corruption out, just corrupting these Varix Reavers who are getting very, very low here, just taking a ton of damage, and despite their regeneration and pretty good decent stats, just the overwhelming amount of damage there, dragging them down. Meanwhile, the Corpse Cart over here buffing up some zombies as they fight. And yeah, meanwhile on this side, Helman Gorst, and here come the Blood Knights. I know it's a little bit hard to see here, but getting a nice rear charge into those Plague Monks there. GHORST himself going to be casting some foul magic to summon up some Grave Guard here on the flank of this Skaven formation. Obviously, Grave Guard going to be pretty good against the Skaven. I didn't bring any straight up in my army, but the summoned unit should be able to get some decent work done here. You can see the Black Coach just wading through this horde of Skaven here, dropping an awesome terror bomb, terrifying away all the lower tier units so that we can focus on the higher value units. That being said, my opponent's, both his Warp Lightning Cannons are still online. They're in a good defensive position where I can't really get to them very easily. I'm going to send some Skeletons out on a mission to shut this one down. But these Blood Knights are going to be used in a rear charge action against these Plague Monks here, and you know, the Plague Monks are interesting. The Censer Bears, you can get vampire units to crumble pretty easily, but Censer Bears are also pretty squishy. They'll take a lot of damage from, you know, impact charges, Grave Guard, things like that. You can see more Plague Monks being summoned up, so my opponent really doubling down on the amount of Plague Monks. Looks like Skrolk, though, starting to take a bit of damage from those Varix Reavers and some of those other units there. Meanwhile, Black Coach, Blood Knights, and Hounds trying desperately to shut down this Warp Lightning Cannon, but my opponent does have the Storm Vermin Halberds on station, just dragging my guys down, so it's pretty rough engagement. That being said, we are slowly but surely grinding down the front line. You can see GHORST dodging the blasts. You know, he's got the moves like Jagger. He's going to be dodging some of those Warp Lightning shots. And yeah, these Plague Monks just got a nasty rear charge by the Black Coach and the Blood Knights. The other Black Coach getting pretty low at this point, but it is still online, running a shop on these Skaven infantry here. You can see a lot of the very expensive Skaven infantry has been dealt with. There are still some Plague Monks online, certainly, but the Censer Bearers are offline. You can see over here, these Skaven slaves did intercept my Skelly boys, and unfortunately I did not issue an appropriate order here to actually attack the artillery piece. That's a bit unfortunate, but still. GHORST getting blasted. We're going to need to shut down those cannons if I am to take this one home here, so... You can see I'm trying to clean up the units in the front line. These pesky, you know, Plague Monks and other units here. I'm just trying to keep the Black Coaches moving through them as much as possible to keep up the impact damage and to also, of course, you know, just keep the terror rolling as well. But yeah, Lord Skrulk gonna get run over by the Black Coach there. Poor little guy. Just didn't see it coming, I guess. But yeah, the Black Coach is going to try and unify to the Corpse Cart to try and get a little bit of healing. You can see another unit of Blood Knights, actually the Liber Bubonicus, used on them to try and finish them off. Very interesting play there. I'm going to drop that Invocation of the Heck, just barely keep them alive there. You can see they got pretty low, down to about 400 hit points or so. But yeah, with them back, you know, being healed, we're going to charge on through, try and finish off these Plague Monks here. We have managed to get GHORST and his Necromancer buddy with some Blood Knights and some Skelly boys over to occupy this pocket. You can see the GHORST Master just chadding it up, just cutting through these Storm Vermin like a true melee lord. And if we look at GHORST's melee stats, they are pretty poor, so he's not going to be doing a whole lot there, unfortunately. That being said, you know, the balance is pretty even still. This lightning cannon, finally I was able to get some skeletons on and start the process of shutting it down, although it's not going to be offline right away. The Black Coaches are taking some fire, but the Blood Knights critically are still alive and have a nice surround on Lord Skrulk here. So if we are able to take out Lord Skrulk, that should be enough to finish off the Skaven leadership here. Of course, they're relatively weak to terror, so yeah, if you can take out their leadership, then it'll be much easier to terror out them. You can see the Black Coach trying to get a charge in here, but we're actually just gonna pull it back and away there. It's doing a little bit of a dance, but yeah, it looks like going after those Plague Monks. We did manage to terrify away some of those Gutter Runners. Unfortunately, the cannon crew still online, still firing, getting some solid contact on that Corpse Cart there, but unfortunately Skrulk still surrounded by Blood Knights, just getting dragged down at this point, which is most unfortunate. Meanwhile, over here, yeah, the Warp Lightning Cannon still able to use up most of its ammunition. Both the Warp Lightning Cannons actually have used a good portion of their ammunition, been able to get some solid work done. That being said, you know, we are going to be able to come in and get a nice rear charge here with the Black Coach. I'd pathed it up and around to try and see if we could get a side or rear charge here to proc the terror, and we are going to be able to terrify away the artillery crew, if not the Storm Vermin. So that was the main target here. This artillery is now offline, and the Black Coach is going to be continuing to ride through the Skaven in the back line. And I know I've said it before, but the Black Coach is quickly becoming one of my favorite vampire units, just in a multitude of matchups. If you want to punch through a front line, the Black Coach is one of the best units to do so. Looks like somebody at the back there is pretty happy, rocking around in the coffin. But anyway, GHORST and his Necromancer, the only ones left fighting the Storm Vermin here. But that being said, the heroic presence is almost enough to drag down the Storm Vermin. You can see them getting very, very low. The Blood Knights were able to finish off Lord Skrulk and come over and start to charge down on some of these Plague Monks as well. Thankfully, we're able to rout off this artillery crew, finally, and the Skeleton Spears and Skeleton Warriors now just duking it out with the Storm Vermin that had been holding their ground there. So you can see with the two artillery pieces offline, that has severely affected the balance power, of course, with the death of Lord Skrulk as well. And now it's just going to be a process of cleaning up the scraps. So we'll go for a ride along here with the Black Coach as it charges majestically across the countryside here. Beautiful Nagarond countryside, and gets a solid rear charge into some of those Storm Vermin, awkwardly bumping into the artillery pieces, but the rear charge itself should be enough to proc a terror rout. Looks like indeed it is, so you can see GHORST, despite the fact that he did not get brought on the Corpse Cart, it is nevertheless his destiny to accompany, where is GHORST? He's in the back there, accompany the Corpse Cart to the battlefield nonetheless. You can see him marching proudly alongside there. And yeah, GHORST's going to be just pushing through. He's still relatively healthy, been able to just sustain all the damage tossed his way. So yeah, at this point it's only a matter of time before the Skaven hit critical army losses here, so we'll fast forward through the last of the grind as those Storm Vermin rout. So well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. Not every day you get to see the GHORST Master in action. And yeah, I definitely think that on foot is better than on the cart. I don't think either will ever be competitive, unless they just severely reduce like the Winds of Magic cost of that Graveguard summon or something, or, you know, give it more charges, or just make it way more powerful in general. But it's already pretty expensive in terms of both gold and Winds of Magic, so yeah, definitely not the most efficient build, but it ended up being a lot of fun. The double black coach, Kelman GHORST, just too much for the Skaven, running shop all over their light infantry. The Plague Monks definitely racked up a lot of kills, you can see, against the fodder tier infantry of the Vampire Counts, so I kind of see what my opponent was going for there. Fortunately, the elite presence of the Blood Knights, the black coaches, and of course GHORST himself, able to just drag things down. And despite the fact that Warp Lightning Cannons did a lot of work, we were able to just power through the shots, you know, power through the sustained barrage, and be able to drag things out at the end there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. I know it was a lot of fun to play. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and all that jazz, and we'll see you on the next one.